It's no secret that 2 under 2 can be challenging. Literally everyone tells you how brave you are when you enter this era. But what is it really like? My name's Frankie and I have 2 daughters, Juno and Rhea. One is 22 months and one is 6 weeks old. And this is the truth about 2 under 2. So the first few weeks, 2 under 2 is absolutely mental. You're tired, your hormones are all over the place, and you're recovering from birth. And as if that wasn't enough, you've got 2 under 2. You have a toddler and a newborn. So the first truth about having 2 under 2 is, newsflash, the newborn is the easy one. Focus on your second. So the reason that I say focus on your toddler is because at this point, their needs are stronger than your newborns. Understandably, a newborn has just entered your toddler's life. Their lives are a little bit shook up. They've been, the main sole kind of energy absorber until this point, and now they have to share that with this tiny little creature that does absolutely nothing to benefit them. So I think it's easy for them to display big feelings, big behaviors, more meltdowns. So when you focus on your toddler's needs and prioritize them, a happy and content toddler is going to make your life easier. As long as you're not neglecting your newborn, they are fed, they are comfortable, nappy is changed, they are clean. That is all that matters. Prioritize your toddler's needs, focus on them, because ultimately your newborn is the easier one at this point. Another truth about having 2 under 2 is that time really just disappears. I cannot express the amount of times that I have just wished that there are more hours in the day. Even for the mundane things like cooking and cleaning, there is just not enough time. But not only that, there's not enough time in the day for the important things, the moments where the girls are cuddling, where Juno is reading Rhea a book, where I have a bit of time with my eldest Juno and Rhea is asleep or settled, or I'm watching Juno play and Rhea is asleep in my arms. Those moments, there's not enough time. I wish more than anything that I could just pause time and enjoy those moments for a little bit longer. And obviously, with the mundane things that comes with time, it takes longer to get out the house with 2 under 2. It takes longer to feed 2 under 2. It takes longer to bath and get 2 ready for bed. It's simple things like that your whole day is just consumed by feeding your youngest, feeding your eldest. Juno wants a snack, Rhea needs a breastfeed. Juno wants lunch, Rhea needs a breastfeed. It is one after the other, and time is just completely drained. There's just no spare minutes when you've got 2 under 2, which is absolutely beautiful because there's so many really lovely times to enjoy. But it's also just like you sit on the sofa at the end of the day and you just think, where has that day gone? Where has that week gone? My newborn's 6 weeks old. Where has the last 6 weeks gone? So I touched on this truth briefly in my last truth, but cooking and cleaning is at the back of the queue. And that's okay. Let it happen. Prioritize what you need to prioritize and set your expectations just a little bit lower. So for example, Phil and I have really taken a backseat when it comes to cooking or just generally eating at all. We are eating, but I mean, there's just not enough time in the day to prep a lovely gourmet meal for my family. I spend a lot of time trying to guess what my toddler wants to eat and getting it wrong. And I spend a lot of time breastfeeding my newborn. And amongst all of that, I'm trying to figure out what we're going to eat. A lot of that has been takeaways, oven meals, microwave meals, like healthy microwave meals and bits like that. And another thing I would really recommend having, just like snacks on hand, nuts, things that are high in protein, things that are high in fat, things that are going to keep you going. We have been absolutely destroying the nuts at the moment. Cleaning has just kind of gone out the window. We've managed to do it on a Saturday morning. My neighbours probably hate us. On a Saturday morning, because the girls get up early. Juno's up at 6:30. So by 7 o'clock, we've all had breakfast and we're all downstairs. And we kind of set up little games and fun things to the toddler to do, and we just whiz through the house. And it's not a deep clean, it's kind of like a surface tidy, whip the hoover around, bit of anti-bac spray in the kitchen, done. My mantra for this time in my life is, this isn't the time to have a tidy home. It's the time to nurture and be there for my babies. They are not going to remember that there was piles of washing everywhere. They're not going to remember it. I might, but they don't. And it's fine. And you just have to let it go. Again, it's about releasing expectations and just, oh, that's my hair. Just focusing on what is the most important. And that ultimately is feeding, growing, raising your 2 babies. The rest can wait. This next truth is definitely the one that I struggle with the most, and that is that mum guilt is severe. If you had mum guilt with your first, oh my gosh, it doubles with your second. I think what I struggle with most with mum guilt is that there's always, like, with the 2 of them, there's always this battle in my head. So I feel really guilty for Rhea because she doesn't get the time that Juno had as a newborn. Obviously, with your first, you've got no other children / responsibilities other than keeping that one alive. So there's lots of cuddles on the sofa. There's lots of, there's just so much stuff that you can give them and do with them and do for them. With your second, Rhea is already really comfortable in the bouncer. She is already really comfortable settling herself to sleep because she's had to. There's been moments where she's been squirming, and with my first, I probably would have picked her up. But in that moment, I didn't have the time. I wasn't able to pick her up because I was with my oldest. So there's moments like that where I feel really bad for Rhea because her newborn experience, she's not got a clue and she's not going to remember it. And she's so loved and nurtured, but she doesn't get as much attention from me as Juno did at this age, and probably from everyone else as well, which is fine. It's the second baby thing, right? They just don't get as much attention. But that breaks my heart. On the flip side of that is that I feel desperately guilty for my oldest. She was the centre of my universe for 21 months, and now my time is split in half, and she doesn't get as much time with mummy, and she doesn't get, if there's situations where she needs me in that moment, sometimes I have to say, I really want to do that with you, but right now mummy's feeding Rhea and I will do that with you after. And she's never had to hear that before. She's never had to share me or my time. So I feel really desperately sorry for her as well. It's constant. The battle in my head is constant. I wish that I could just split myself in half and half of me could go to Rhea and half of me could be with Juno constantly. That would be the easiest thing. The next bit of advice I have for you guys is about routine and not to let it go out the window. I feel like everyone kind of says to you when you're going to under 2, try and relax, go with the flow, let all your routine go out the window. I disagree. I don't think you should let your toddler's routine go out the window. I think you should prioritise your toddler's routine. This is what we did with Juno, and it really worked for us. Prioritise your toddler's routine and take your newborn along for the ride. A few reasons why we did this. If we prioritise Juno's routine, then hopefully we'll see less overstimulation, less overtiredness, and therefore less meltdowns and less kind of sleep refusal and all of the things that come with being overstimulated and overtired. And I've got to say, I do think it's worked really well. It does, however, mean that you don't really form any kind of routine with your newborn, but I think that can come at a later date. I know when we had Juno, by this time, kind of 6 to 8 weeks of her life, we were kind of forming a bit of a routine. This girl is so go with the flow, but she doesn't have a choice. She just has to be. And that's the thing with your second, is they just, they are more comfortable in their bouncer. They are more comfortable doing tummy time. And it's not because they enjoy it more than your first did. They probably don't, but they have to do it because you're occupied, you're doing other things for your toddler. Obviously with routine, a few things slip. One thing that we found with Juno was that her screen time increased quite a bit in the first few weeks of Rhea's life. Let it go. We saw maybe a little bit of behaviour around that because she was having more screen time. She was asking for it a bit more and maybe having bigger feelings when we would turn it off, but we've already knocked that on the head, and she's now probably having less screen time than she was initially having before Rhea came. So that's a bonus. But you know, you've got to use the tools that you have. If your toddler really enjoys a certain thing, like Juno's really into Bing at the moment and Gabby's Doll's House. So if they really enjoy those things, use the tools that you have. You know, if you need a moment, if your newborn's really uncomfortable, if they're really unhappy, they're really windy, screen time. If they love drawing time. Anything that they enjoy, get on those things. It will make your life easier. The last little bit of truth that I've got for you guys is that you cannot be everything and you cannot be a superhero. You are just their parent, and that is all that they need from you. There will be moments in this journey that are really hard, like when they are both crying and you have to make a choice, and it is a really tough decision to make. The newborn cries, they are just soul destroying. And Juno never cried because we never allowed her to. We were there when she needed us. Poor Rhea does cry a little bit more because she has to, because sometimes I'm with Juno and I just can't be everything. You can't be everything at once. You just have to let some things slide. But ultimately, what I'm trying to say is that your little people only want you. They don't need anything else. They don't need gourmet meals. They don't need a tidy home. They just want you, and they just, you know, you need to feed them. That's it. You just need to feed them. You don't even need to feed them healthy food. Whatever they eat, just give it to them. If they're being breastfed, just breastfeed, bottle fed, whatever. They just need to be fed, and they just want to hang out with you. And that's all they need. You don't need to be everything. Lower your expectations of yourself. Let the house be messy. Stock up your freezer and crack on. I guess the ultimate truth of having 2 under 2 is that it is absolutely brilliant. We love it. We love the 2 of them, especially as Rhea is growing, the relationship that they're forming. It was literally just this morning that Juno was reading The Tiger Who Came to Tea to her sister. And when she reads books, she can't read. She doesn't know what words are. She opens them. They might sometimes be upside down, and she goes, oh, la, 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 and reads the book and shows her sister the pictures. And those moments are pure moments of just amazingness, and that is what having 2 under 2 is about. There are really tough moments. I have cried on my own in a room before, a few times, but it's okay, because there's moments where it is really overwhelming and really overstimulating. We get overstimulated as adults as well, as parents. That's okay. But on a whole, I would not change this for the world. It is the best thing that we've done, and the girls are so close in age. Watching them grow is going to fill me with joy for the rest of my life. The truth about having 2 under 2 is that it's probably the best thing you're ever going to do. One day you're going to look back and these will be the best years of your life, and that is such a huge reminder to just count your blessings and just be their parent. Don't be anything else. But yeah, that's my truth on 2 under 2. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next week for our weekly upload. Lots of love. Bye.